What's up, everybody? Aaron the Dog here with Brandon of MMA Wagers, as always, and we are here to break down a PFL card happening on Thursday this week. So I don't know if PFL is just going to jump around whenever ESPN says, but we were breaking down PFL 2021 number 2.
Keep it on Thursdays, is my opinion.
Yeah, they might as well. I think Bellator has Fridays, PFL has Thursdays, one has Wednesdays, UFC has Saturdays. That's very
Listen
simple.
to Aaron the Dog. He knows what he's talking about.
And then LFA obviously is the cherry on top on Friday nights.
Love it.
As well. So, but main event is Rory MacDonald versus Curtis Millender. And I think
Canada.
Well, we'll see. Canada MMA lately. You know, it's seen better days.
Alex Martinez last week.
There we go. Focus on the PFL and not Tristan Connolly's no-show in the UFC.
1-0. Canadians are 1-0 on PFL so far. So
there we go. But yeah, it's an interesting card. I'm gonna be honest. These the lightweight and featherweight roster a little bit stronger than the light heavyweight roster, especially. Welterweight is okay, but the light heavyweight roster seems we've had some pullouts late. We've had some just guys at middleweight just going up to light heavyweight, I guess now, and it's a little bit spotty. Where you're kind of
mixed bag.
Yeah, there we go. That's the Canadian way of saying shitty. It's a mixed bag. But yeah, I'm still excited. I think they're interesting fights. Last week, the PFL, real quick, 5 underdogs came in. 5. We had a plus 300, a plus 400. Like, yep. I mean, and just like all a minus 600 lost. I mean, and we said go light on this first PFL. It's the first PFL in over a year. This may be the second PFL within a week, but it's also still the first PFL for this entire roster of fighters in a year, besides the UFC transplants that are coming in here. And who knows, especially with a few of them, really, who knows what we're getting at this point out of them. So
yeah, it's going to be a common theme on this card, I believe.
I think it's going to be a common theme on, all the
Who's Steven Zach.
We've been breaking down the fights the entire time on this channel. Steve and Zach do preview shows and interviews with MMA Stooges. They're the main two guys, but we're Aaron the Dog and Brandon.
Cashing bets over here. Okay?
Yeah, if you want to cash some bets and talk about some fights, stick around, Fireblade.
You can make a living cashing MMA bets.
We appreciate you.
I'm one to talk.
Yeah, we appreciate you, Fireblade. If you stick around and join with us, but we are Zach and Steve approved, and I joined Zach on the breakdown or the recap shows after every event, besides the last UFC event. But back to this card. I think that it's going to be a common theme for PFL throughout the year, at least early until they figure out who the real stars are in PFL of, getting some dogs early. So I do think the dogs are live and well on this card again. Not quite like last week. I will right away say less than 5 underdogs come in this week.
Yeah, I totally agree. And Clay Collar is definitely a household name of PFL now after that performance. I'm not going to be doubting him throughout the tournament anymore.
Yeah, great fight.
Cassius.
We got to shout out Brendan Longhan. He specifically retweeted our breakdown. First of all, and listened to our breakdown of his fight. We couldn't have nailed that breakdown any better, if I say so myself. It was literally like he listened to our breakdowns like, I'm going to go in there and do that. But we know he didn't, but he's that good.
Maybe we reminded him that Shaman can't deliver elbows, and he's like, wait, that's right. He can't even elbow me. I'm going to go in there and just starch this guy.
Yeah, he
bet $10,000 on himself, by the way, guys.
Yep.
That's somebody who fucking believes in himself. $10,000?
And that's his 11th KO.
Even that much in their life.
And it's his 11th KO in 2 different weight classes.
He's won every single round in his past fights. Even though they went to decisions, he's won every single round. There's not a round he's lost. So you guys better start paying attention to our boy Brandon Loughnane. I reached out to him. He's very busy. He was on MMA Junkie the other day, so there's a lot bigger outlets than MMA Stooges right now reaching out to him. So I understand
And he's got
lack
cut
of
weight.
communication.
He's back in a couple weeks. I mean, I totally get it.
Yeah, and he has to fight again in like 3 or 4 weeks. So
He's focused.
yeah,
He's
if
got his
he
eyes on the
replies, he
prize.
replies.
He's got his eyes on the prize. The bet odds are going to skyrocket on him now. The secret's out.
We got it. We got it while it was low. So that's awesome.
It was minus 150. I got it at
easy.
so
The easiest money I've ever seen. Wait, there was another one that was really easy. I can't remember. Movlid was pretty good.
Yeah,
but he was
was minus 750 or something by the time I got to him. But we're going to be breaking down the PFL card tonight. It's headlined by 2 or 3 former UFC fighters and Chris Camozzi. That's right. I said Chris Camozzi is back and fighting at light heavyweight now. Why not? Well,
when there's $1 million at stake, do what you got to do.
So Fireblade wanted to just real quick before we hop in, because this is a PFL breakdown, but we will be breaking down this fight closer to the card. But your quick thoughts on Gregor Gillespie versus Diego Ferreira?
Well, I actually bet Brad Riddell over Gregor, so I'm probably gonna go. Diego Ferreira. He had a competitive fight against Panneau, even though I don't agree that it was a split. It was a great fight. It was competitive at the end of the day. I understand why it was a split. I even said, like, don't be surprised if this is a split. Because judges, they're on different pillars. They see different angles. They see different things going down. So, yeah, I was going to bet Brad Riddell at plus 200. So if Carlos is in that same region, I'm definitely going CDF. Let's go.
Yeah, I think it'll be closer to maybe like a minus 150 line or so for Gregor. And
let me double check the odds out yet. But yeah, let's hear your input.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be a close fight, but again, it's just the question of, Gregor, he can get it down, but I think Diego can get up for one. He also has really good jiu-jitsu as well, so I don't know if Gregor's going to be that comfortable in that realm. And so it turns into a stand-up bout. I highly rate Diego's stand-up and abilities to kind of control it on the feet there. I think that's where the fight takes place for the most part. So if Diego, especially is a decent underdog, I'm taking Diego Ferreira. I think the leg kicks are going to be a big part of the game, and just overall boxing levels. So I'd take Diego.
I got Gregor Gillespie at minus 180 at the moment. On best fight odds. If you guys aren't aware of best fight odds, that's the best.
I'm guessing Fireblade is a Gregor Gillespie fan.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people are.
It's a close fight though.
Diego's plus 150, so not as big of an underdog as Brad Riddell was, but I understand that for sure.
Yeah.
I'll take Diego by split decision. Because he can.
Well, definitely not a fight.
Down, you're going to be in trouble.
That is a fight that I have yet to really do heavy tape on and really think about. So that is about as raw of a breakdown as you'll ever see me say on a tape. But what do you say we hop in?
Absolutely. We're 9 minutes into this, so let's go.
It's all good. We'll hop into the PFL breakdown now. Dan Spahn, former Dana White Contenders Series member, taking on Martin Hamlet Nielsen. This is the first fight in the light heavyweight tournament. We have Dan Spahn at 18-7 now, 36 and a half years old. His last fight, he was knocked out by a 40-year-old in Bozat Agietev, I believe, in the first round, where he landed 7 strikes in that round, threw 18, and his opponent threw 26 and landed 24 of them. So there is, with Dan Spahn, for one, he's pretty one-dimensional. You know what you're going to get out of him at this point. He's a heavy boxer, and he goes in there and looks to throw his hands, occasional leg kicks. I know he got a finish on the Contenders Series, but overall, I just am kind of a little bit wondering how much Dan Spahn has left at this point. His majority decision against Sean O'Connell, no real rub there other, than that Sean O'Connell is somebody who I don't rate highly, although he won the tournament. So he took advantage of a soft light
You gotta
heavyweight
rate him
tournament.
highly, Aaron. Come on.
What's that?
If he beats Vinny Magalhaes in a $1 million fight, you have to rate him moderately high.
Are you joking?
Sean O'Connell, he's a dog, man. He's what you are called, Aaron the dog. He is a fucking dog, and he earned that $1 million for being a dog.
But Dan Spahn was a favorite against O'Connell in that fight.
He's always been a favorite. He's never been an underdog.
Yeah, and in this fight, it's his closest fight, and interestingly enough, it's against his least experienced opponent, Martin Nielsen. Predominantly a wrestler, has a little bit of stand-up, but he looks to kind of clinch, take it to the ground for the most part. He has a 2 KO finishes, but for the most part hasn't faced anybody of note other than Modestus Bukauskas. He was favored in that fight, and he got knocked out in the 4th round. He kind of just tired and ended up getting put away by Bukauskas. But he was winning a decent amount of that fight. Came back and beat some guy named Prince Alunala. I don't know who that is.
14-11.
Yeah. Martin is 29 years old. So we've got the 29-year-old versus the 36-and-a-half-year-old.
Light heavyweight, though.
Light heavyweight, right. But still, I get the champion is 36, but I think that with Spahn, you're seeing a slowdown. So honestly, I think that in this one, I just think Spahn's lack of volume allows for the takedowns to happen, allows for the cage control to get done. Martin Nielsen decision.
Yeah, that's your official pick?
Yep.
Yeah, we're going to see the weigh-ins tomorrow. This PFL is a little earlier this week. It's not on a Friday. It's on a Thursday, so we'll get the weigh-ins on Wednesday. Marcin Hamlet Nielsen is just so inexperienced, in my opinion. Dan Spahn, that's a name you should know if you're a hardcore fan. He's been on the Ultimate Fighter. He had that very lackluster fight against Patrick Walsh, which might be top 5 most boring fights of all time in the UFC. But he's fought back since then, having a 2-2 PFL record. I actually bet on him in the rematch versus Bazagit Atiev. Bazagit Atiev. They went 1-1. So I bet him in the rematch because when the counterparts, when their opponents are older, they usually tend to win majority of the time. But no, not this time. Dan got starched. Round 1, uppercut to ground and pound. But at the same time, Bazagit Atiev is 22-3, experienced Russian fighter. He just went to a draw with Viktor Nemkov, who we lost money on, unfortunately.
Viktor Nemkov looked terrible in the PFL and in Bellator.
Yeah, I don't like Viktor Nemkov. His brother is just
not a strong. It's a name. That's it.
Yeah, I think Vadim Nemkov is just grinding on his brother right now, getting rounds in, and Victor's taking a lot of the punishment in those training rounds because it's you're the champion, you're gonna get the bigger paycheck. So I think Victor's more of just a training partner at this point. And based off his last Bellator appearance, I don't think he's gonna go far at all in any promotion at this point. But back to this fight, Dan Spahn, the Dragon, 36, light heavyweight. You can get away with being a little older. Experience plays a big factor in these heavier weight classes. I've never heard of Marcin since researching this PFL, and yeah, he did lose to Modestus. And you said he showed a good account of himself until the round 4 finish.
Yeah.
he rebounded against like I can't hold Prince in any high regard at all. And he also beat a 13-9 guy, a 1-3 guy, a 5-3, 3-2, 1-3.
Yep.
Like I can't trust him. Dan Spahn, 5th fight in the PFL, 2-2, but he lost to Sean O'Connell, a former champion, and a rematch. And at the same time, when you have rematches, the counterpart is going to be more hungry to get that W back, which we saw with Uriah Hall, but nobody predicted that fight to end the way it did. Chris just hit a fire hydrant. Chris Weidman just hit a fire hydrant that night and got his leg fucked up. But yeah, so I'm going Dan. At the end of the day, I like Dan. Well, we'll see the weigh-ins. But yeah, with the experience, the motivation, it's his 3rd time going for this $1 million. I don't think he's going to let this new guy school him. He's going to go in there and show him you're in a different league than Superior Challenge. I know Superior Challenge is a decent promotion, but
Cage Warriors
PFL has a lot of good fighters.
And Cage Warriors, Cage Warriors.
Yeah, Cage Warriors has a lot of good European fighters too, but he fought Modestus, and then other than that, it was an 18-9 guy and what?
What is Dan Spahn, an 18-7 guy?
Oh, sorry, 13-9.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, what are you saying about Dan?
Dan Spahn's just an 18-7 guy.
Yeah, but he's lost to Sean, former PFL vet,
Okay.
the experienced Russian.
Hey,
Ronnie
it's okay.
Wallace, I know, very experienced.
We got a disagreement right away, and I think
Kelvin Tiller, Josh Stansberry, like we know these opponents. But okay, yeah, we got a disagreement.
Yeah, minus 135 I have on Martin Hamlet.
Dan's the underdog?
Dan is the underdog, plus 105 comeback.
My boy Jordan's watching.
Ah, right. Yeah, I know. I highlighted his comment. I figured I saw the Maple Leafs jersey. I figured you Canadians.
Yeah, I was too busy looking up the records of these opponents.
Yeah, it's all good. But yeah, I'll take the slight favorite in Martin Hamlet. I just think his path to victory is one that he can get against Dan Spahn, who's kind of just very, 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 very poor man's Volkan Ozdemir, which isn't even a great thing to be in the first place either. No. Gases, low volume, and has power, though. He could put him away in the first
round. Power.
Experience and power.
It's the end of his career. I don't know. There's a lot of X factors. We'll see the weigh-ins tomorrow. Look up MMA wagers. You'll see the full weigh-ins. I always post them.
And the other thing, Spahn is 6'4", 77-inch reach, 6'1", probably a 72-inch reach for Martin Hamlet. So that's definitely something to take into account.
Another reason to take the underdog.
And you picked him, so you're looking for whatever you want.
I got Kazula last week. Oh, the biggest squash match in the UFC.
Yep.
Come on, man. You got to give more opponents some respect.
Moving on.
Okay, moving on.
I will be, we are to the 170 division. Sabadou Sai, PFL regular, taking on Nikolai Alakshakian. Nikolai, you should recognize from kind of back in the day. He fought Ben Askren and won. Lost a decision, but landed some shots.
Ben Askren also lost to Jake Paul.
In boxing.
I just got to throw that out there. I'm sorry. I had to say
it. Boxing. But yeah, I mean, honestly, Nikolai has fought a good range of talent. He's knocked out Mike Graves. Gotta love that. Elias Silverio, very good guy, former UFC fighter. Rodrigo Calverio, Jonathan Webb. A lot of guys who are on the regional scene knocked out Jesse Ronson in the PFL. Prior to Jesse taking the shot up to the UFC where he got caught for PEDs. But anyways, has a fight against Jose Gomez, a 38-12 guy, which was a knockout in the first round, 17-4. You're seeing really good records that he's fighting on his resume. And I really do appreciate that out of him. And he's super exciting, really good power. He goes in there and throws hard. This fight with Sabadou is going to be super exciting, no doubt about it. It's going to be on the feet, I think, for the most part. And so Sabadu, 34 years old now, 6'3", 80-inch reach. Those are the things right away you got to notice. I have a 170er, 8-5-2, coming off a loss and a draw in his last two. Had a close fight with Ray Cooper, though, and then his loss was to Glacio Franca, and it was in ground and pound towards the end of the third round. Also knocked out Machad with a body kick 17 seconds in. I think that was Machad's last loss as well. Has been former UFC fighter Caio Magaias. Remember him?
Who?
Remember Caio? Yeah, back in the day.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, I think he was on the Ultimate Fighter, but I think I
spit
catched
at
with him as an
somebody.
underdog once.
Yeah, he spit at somebody.
Exactly. Yeah.
Got kicked out of the UFC. Spit blood at somebody. I can't remember who.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Bad
I think
blood.
this is a really good fight. With Sabadu, he's 34 and a half. So, and this is 170. So again, we've got versus a 30-year-old. So I do think that plays a factor here. I just think that the heavier hitter is Nikolai. I think that Sabadu is going to have to really be on his bike, movement, pumping that jab, using that reach. And I'm just not sure if he's going to be able to have enough power to get the respect of Nikolai. And Nikolai, let me check, but in his 31 fights, I don't believe he's been put away by strikes.
No, he has not.
Yeah, so
Just submission and decision.
Yeah, he's been submitted. That's not going to be a route I see for Sabadu. No. So it turns into a kickboxing, fight essentially, where I think the higher volume, the higher rate, higher power is on Nikolai's side. So I don't see the dog here in Sabadu. I got Nikolai.
Yeah, I gotta agree. Going through the records here, I'm definitely going Nikolai. I think I went through the odds quickly, and I did notice Nikolai was a favorite. I don't know how big of a favorite, but we'll get to that soon. Nikolai's 10 years into the game. Sabadu is 8 years into MMA. So even Nikolai has more experience than Sabadu. Even though Nikolai's making his PFL debut, he's had experience in one champion, which we'll be watching tomorrow night.
Yes, sir.
ACB, a great Russian promotion, 5-1 in Fight Nights Global, another Russian promotion. He's got that one win in PFL. Who did he beat? Jesse Ronson. Yeah. Man, that's a big win, beating Jesse Ronson. And I think Jesse Ronson might have been. I think Jesse Ronson was on roids too because he got caught in the UFC. Yep. So I know PFL doesn't have USADA, so you can maybe get away with it. Who I'm blanking on the games, blanking on the name. Somebody did not get away with it. He fights in the UFC now. He lost to Herbert. He beat Herbert.
Daniel Pineda.
Yeah, Daniel Pineda did get busted, so you're not safe. But yeah, I don't think they're as strict as the UFC. So yeah, you could arguably say he was on roids on that fight, and Nikolai still starched him round one. And look at the names he's beat. Jonathan Webb. If you know MMA, Jonathan Webb is a UFC fighter. Rodrigo Cavalio, I've heard of him. Elias Silverio, Dominic Steele, another UFC fighter. Mike Graves, another UFC fighter.
Yep.
He lost. Did you say he won or lost to Ben Askren?
He lost to Ben Askren by decision, but he connected with quite a few shots on Ben, and that was, still when Ben was pretty much on top of his game over and over.
Yeah, Ben was only 30 years old at that point, or 31.
Yep.
He was the one champion, I think. Let me double check. Yeah, that was for the belt. So when it's MMA, Ben's obviously got that wrestling avenue, and he's going to beat 9 out of 10 people that way. But yeah, Nikolai is on just a tear, man. Like, you don't see win streaks like this very often with very notable names. Mm-hmm. Sadabo Sai is 8-5-2, but I don't hold the losses and I don't hold them against them too much because Oscar Pichota, another UFC fighter, Zari, I've never heard of. Bruno Santos, I've heard of. I think he fought in the UFC. Yeah, Bruno Santos. He was like a crazy decision guy. All he did was stick onto you like glue. And he beat Sai like that. He took away all of Sai's weapons and just Santos just stuck onto him like glue and rode out a
Yeah,
decision.
yeah, I do.
Magomedov.
Yeah. I really think Sai needs space to get off his movement, get off his weapons.
Yeah.
That's where a reach advantage can suddenly become a reach disadvantage very quickly, and you don't
Mhm.
have elbows again.
Yep.
So when Nikolai crowds you, he does have the knees. I think knees to the body are live against Nikolai for Sabadu, but that's a tough area to rely on to get the respect and get the finish at the end of the day. I think Nikolai can really crowd him and bully him.
Yeah, Sai's actually got a losing record too in the PFL. He's 2 wins, 3 losses, 2 draws. Those 2 wins are like very quick round one knockouts. So if this goes past 2.5 minutes, I'm going Nikolai all day. I think he's a very safe parlay piece. I didn't see how big of a favorite he is, but
Yeah.
how big of a favorite is he?
We got minus 325 on Nikolai.
You can work with that. Luma
Yeah.
Lugumi is fighting Sam Hughes this UFC. Throw a
Yeah,
parlay in
and
with
actually,
Luma.
yeah, and there's a few other odds on here that my eyebrows much more raised. Plus 250 on Sai. I just think that you're really betting on a very unlikely knockout, in my
He's
opinion.
never been knocked out though. That's the thing, and he's not gonna 10-9 him 3 rounds.
Yeah, I just think
Nikolai all day.
I
He
think
should be
there's
more minus 800 in my opinion.
I think there's a physical strength advantage.
And the age advantage at 170. Man, this is guys parlay Nikolai. If you have $1 million, put 5,000. I don't want to say it. I don't want to be the one. They'll be like, "Oh, Brandon told me to do this," but I'm very confident. I'm very confident. How confident are you? 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10? How confident?
I mean, this is one of my probably locks of the night. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's
we're gonna move on to the next.
You want to start this one off? I'll be right back.
Sure. This is at 205. Cesar Ferreira taking on Nick Rorik. Nick Rorik. Both of these guys are former UFC fighters. Nick Rorik, 9-1, had one fight in the UFC. 33 years old, 6'3", 75.5-inch reach, fighting out of Orlando. He's on a 2-fight win streak against Wayland Quitsikuyev, which I'm not too familiar with this guy, but he's 36 years old, 5'9", light heavyweight. So I'm not going to lose my mind over that one too much. And then before that, an 0-6 guy in Link Batty. He got a verbal submission. Before that was his UFC fight back in 2017 against Jared Cannonier. Jared Cannonier ended up knocking him out in the third round. He took so many shots in that fight. And so if there's one thing I can say about Nick, he is a tough SOB. This guy can take some shots. He's not the most physically impressive guy. He's looking to wrestle, looking to clinch, looking to grab you. And his only loss being that KO to Jared Cannonier at light heavyweight. Cesar Ferreira, we know him, El Mutante, 13-8, salty record. 36 years old now, 6'1", 78-inch reach. Now fighting at 205, fighting off MMA Masters. His last 2 fights came in 2019 and 2018 against Ian Heinisch and Marvin Vittori. He got just kind of controlled with the wrestling and, for 3 rounds and wasn't really able to do much against either one of these guys. Both have gone on to do pretty well, so there's no real shame in that. Ferreira was able to submit Carl Roberson, had a split against Nate Marquardt, which, is a little questionable. Got a decision loss to Theodora. Arm triangle Jack Hermanson, which is nice. Had a big win over Anthony Smith as well by decision. Has not been finished since Jorge Masvidal and Sam Alvey finished him. at welterweight, so when he was cutting a ton of weight, and now he's fighting at light heavyweight. So Cesar Ferreira, I mean, I don't really know what to expect out of him. I mean, he's plenty big enough for 205, but I'll be curious as to what his kind of plan and method to win this fight against Nick Rourke is. I think Nick Rourke knows what he is, and I mean, it's similar to the first fight of the night for me with Rourke. It's just get in there, use your wrestling, and I mean, his stand-up is not great. It's pretty basic. I think that's where Cesar has a huge advantage. If this stays on the feet or if Cesar gets on top, I think that Rourke has a lot of trouble, but I'm not confident in Cesar either. This is just a fight I'm not really looking to invest much in. My official pick will be Cesar, but I really don't know what he's going to look like at 205. And at 36 years old, and he's 13-8, but he's facing a 33-year-old who hasn't faced anybody but Jared Cannonier and looked pretty bad against Jared Cannonier. So yeah. I don't want much to do with this fight. I'm not crazy about betting Cesar as a heavy favorite in 2021.
Oh, you just ruined it. He's a heavy favorite?
I mean, he's a favorite.
Okay,
I think he's more than a pick'em favorite, I would assume, against Nick.
I'm going Cesar at the same time. Nick actually missed weight his last fight. I don't know if you noticed. Did you mention that?
No, I did not.
208.4 pounds, so the weigh-ins will be interesting tomorrow.
And he's not a particularly big light heavyweight either, so that's just kind of laziness that I would think this is that.
It's his mentality or laziness. Yeah, exactly. You don't even know if he's going to weigh in as a professional tomorrow. Cesar's a UFC vet, 9-6, 15 UFC fights. He's only lost to the best of the UFC has to offer. Jorge Masvidal. Mm-hmm. Well, not the best. Elias
Sam Alvey's in there.
Well, yeah, that was 6 years ago when Sam Alvey was starching everybody. So
yeah.
CB Dollaway, that was 8 years ago when CB Dollaway packed a punch too.
I remember when he was good.
Yeah, so Jorge Masvidal, we can't discredit Jorge. He's going to do that to most opponents.
And that was at welterweight when Cesar Ferreira was killing himself.
To cut down, yeah I can't believe he's at 205 now. Craziness.
He's going to fight at heavyweight eventually.
So after that Jorge loss, he did go up to middleweight, racked off 3 middleweight wins, one against Anthony Smith and another one against Jack Hermanson. That's crazy. And then Elias is just a tough puzzle to solve sometimes. He fights very awkward.
Rourke wins a fight ever.
Pardon?
Nick Rourke will never win a fight in that way. So it's like that's irrelevant, that loss essentially. Like Nick Rourke has got no footwork anybody.
He's going to have to grind it out like Marvin or Ian Heinisch did, and I just don't see him doing that for 3 rounds. Nick Rourke has 4 to 9 finishes, so 44%. He does tend to go to decisions, but Cesar does too. Like he's only 7 and 13 finishes. He's got 8. How many? He's got 6 decision wins. 2 of them are split. He's got a stint in the Ultimate Fighter. I'm pretty sure he won he was the Ultimate Fighter middleweight tournament champion. He's got the 4th best takedown accuracy in UFC middleweight history. He's got the 3rd best takedown defense in UFC middleweight history. Like, he's 36, but I think he's making the right move going to 205. He doesn't have to cut much weight. He's going to feel fresh. He's training out of MMA Masters, sorry. Yeah, I think Kobe Covington trains out of there. There's a few other guys. Warley Elves, I think he's at MMA Masters. So yeah, he's got a few Brazilians getting rounds in with him, like really good Brazilians. Nick is from Elevation Fight Team, who we just saw Rose and Kamaru Usman just put on like the best performances I've ever seen. So if Nick's in Trevor Whitman's corner, then this might give me a different opinion on the fight, but I don't know if Trevor Whitman's going to be there. I don't know how invested he is in Nick's career, but if he's out of Elevation Fight Team, he's in good hands. I don't like how he missed weight last fight. It's just, I don't know. Caesar, they both haven't fought since 2019, right?
Right.
Or March 21st, 2020 for Nick. So,
okay, so a year for one and a little over a year for the other.
Yeah. I'll go Caesar, like just the UFC experience. But if I see Trevor Whitman putting a post out about, watch out for this guy, I'm going to be cornering him. He's gonna show a lot of people what he's made of and prove a lot of doubters wrong, then I might throw a little bit on Nick.
That's fair. Well, Cesar is a minus 165, so not super heavy.
Oh, no.
And plus 135 on Nick Rorick.
I might have to bet Caesar.
Yeah, I just don't. For me, as a bettor, I don't feel comfortable betting Cesar and a new weight class after a year and a half off. And just, again, I hate betting wrestlers when I just don't, or against wrestlers when I don't have a ton of faith in the guy I'm betting. So
I think it's just the experience or the opponent margin. The opponents are so different. Like coming off a loss to Marvin Vettori, who's facing Israel in the next title match, which Correct. I don't agree with.
Yeah.
And then Nick fought Waylon. I can't even say his last name. Like it's not even worth mentioning.
5'9", 36-year-old light heavyweight.
And then he beat a 0-7 guy before that.
Yeah, I agree.
0-7. Come on.
Yeah, I agree.
Let's go, Caesar. That's actually bettable, man. That's bettable.
Yeah, it's just I don't like betting Caesar. That's just me.
Let's see the weigh-ins tomorrow. We'll see how motivated they look.
Yep.
And make them.
We'll move on back to the light heavyweight division. A familiar guy here, Jordan Young. We've definitely broken down at least one of his fights lately with Julian Anglickas. Julian Anglickas fought him and defeated him, and Bellator to give him his first O, taking on your boy, Vinny Magalhães. 19-12 now.
19-12.
36 years old, almost 37 now. Jordan Young, I'll start with, as I said, coming off the loss to Julius Anglickas, American top team representative. Overall, a very good athlete, 26 years old, 6'4", 76.5-inch reach. Before Anglickas, he had a first-round win over Joel Bauman. We just saw in LFA. Joel Bauman did step up and wait for that fight. He also did have a win over Anthony Ruiz, not Anthony Ruiz boxing. 43-year-old Anthony Ruiz. So seems like a journeyman who that was his recent run of fights there. He lost 4, and then won 1, and then lost 3. So not sure how great the level of competition Jordan Young has faced so far in his career has been. Tim Karen's not a bad win, honestly. Jamal Pogues is not a bad win. So there's a few decent wins on there. Vinny Magalhães is 19-12, 36 years old, as I said, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, former wizard, but this is his grappling bouts lately. He's been losing a lot of decisions, and then he tapped against Craig Jones. No shame there. So he's not like getting submitted exactly in these, but hasn't been doing great. He got knocked out by Emmanuel Sorti, knocked out essentially by Sean O'Connell, has an arm bar of Rakeem Cleveland, and then he got knocked out by Rashid Yusupov in PFL 2000, number 19. Uppercut and cross, first round. And he was the underdog going into that fight. I think this fight could be kind of a little bit not too thrilling, a little bit of two grapplers canceling each other out and trying to strike. And if that's the case, I just don't know how Vinny Magalhaes wins other than getting submissions at this point in his career. I do think Jordan is a sufficient enough grappler to stay out of those, although Vinny will be the best grappler he's faced. But Julius is also a good grappler and wasn't able to submit him. And I just think that Jordan's trained with good guys at American Top Team, 26 versus 36. I just think that Vinny's kind of a little bit done at this point. Could see a possible finish for Young, but I'm taking Jordan Young, and I'll take him to get a decision.
Yeah, this is a young man versus an older man here at 205. We got 26-year-old Jordan Young versus 36 Vinny. So it's a 10 years age disparity. Vinny's a PFL staple at this point. He's 5-3 in the PFL. He was on his way to winning $1 million, but he got beat by Sean O'Connell, who's actually commentating now. Sean O'Connell's a good dude. If you want to get a laugh, look up Sean O'Connell weigh-ins and see what he does at the weigh-ins, because it'll definitely put a smile on your face. Vinny is like a 1-round or 2-round fighter. If he doesn't get that finish in 2 rounds, he's in trouble, even in the first 7.5 minutes.
Exactly.
So Jordan Young is another submission artist. He has not knocked out one opponent in his entire career, even an amateur. He doesn't have a knockout win, but I think he's good enough to keep this on the feet, neutralize any submission threats from Vinny. The crazy thing is, if Jordan Young actually submits Vinny, that'd be another Anthony Hernandez versus Rodolfo Vieira situation. Yeah, because you see these jiu-jitsu masters going to MMA, and you think the last thing that's going to happen is they get submitted, but Anthony Hernandez kind of put an explanation point on that and shut the haters up, saying, no, not just submission guys can come in here and not get submitted. I'll do to them what I do to anybody else. And Jordan Young could easily do that. Vinny Magalhaes has been submitted a few times.
Correct. So he gets tired and he looks for ways out.
He looks for ways out. I don't want to say he's looked like a coward, but he just gasses. It's a cardio issue. And Jordan Young, let's see the finishes. 8 out of 11 are in round 1. So 3 out of his 11 wins have gone past round 1. So at the same time, I can't say Jordan Young is a cardio.
We'll be right back. Hang on.
Pardon? Oh yeah, but Jordan Young, 10 years younger. I think he has more gas in the tank here. Vinny's been knocked out 6 times. When you've been knocked out 6 times, I can't trust you anymore. I'm gonna go Jordan Young by decision. And that submission prop, if it's interesting, I might even throw a little bit on that. Let me double check if they have prop odds out. No, they don't have prop odds out for Jordan Young versus Vinny Magalhaes yet, but yeah. Jordan Young by submission, I guarantee you that will be close to like plus 800, plus 900. So $5 on that, $10 on that, $100 back in return. We saw it done with Anthony Hernandez and Rodolfo Vieira. Jordan Young out of American Top Team, a very reputable gym, getting rounds in with some of the best in the world. Vinny has been like kind of gym hopping. He is a Las Vegas resident, so he's just been fighting out Extreme Couture, and I think he gets round ends with Syndicate and MMA. But yeah, Jordan Young, I think with that 10-year age advantage, he's got more gas in the tank, and I think he's going to take him down, neutralize any submission attempts Vinny has, and in the stand-up, I think Jordan will be able to tag him, like we saw with Bubba Jenkins' first fight.
Right.
So yeah, I'll go Jordan Young.
Okay. So we both have the slight dog, even money, Jordan Young. Minus 125 for Vinny. I love that dog bet. That's definitely probably my favorite. One of my favorite bets so far, and I feel pretty confident that this is a little bit of a passing of the torch, but we will see.
Yeah, Jordan. I heard Jordan Young talk on YouTube today. He had an interview saying, "What are the odds for this fight?" Like he was interested on betting on himself because he thought he'd be a big underdog, right?
Yeah, the name
With Vinny.
recognition of Vinny Magalhaes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's
So
closer than people expected because I think Jordan Young is just better than what the public thinks.
Yep. So we are going to move on now. The dogs have now woken up because someone had to knock on my door, so apologies there. But and
barking for the dogs. We just took one, right?
Yeah. Right. But we're moving on now to next fight at 205, Antonio Shoeface Carlos Jr. versus Tom Lawler. Two UFC rejects. Carlos Jr. We'll start with Tom Lawler. Actually, I think he's been fighting for New Japan Wrestling for the last few years, which is fake wrestling. He's 10-7, 6 foot tall, 74-inch reach. He's now 37 and a half, almost 38 years old. Has not fought since fighting Darren Wynn back in November of 2018. Lost a very boring decision. It was on the Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz card. But yeah, nothing really.
I think we're going to be breaking down somebody who also competed in that card, on that card.
And Corey Anderson, he lost the decision to, so that's a little better. But Corey Anderson was only 7-1 at the time. That was in 2016. So fights every 2 to 3 years apparently.
He's a pro wrestler. He does
right.
local.
That's what I said. Yeah.
Sorry.
It's all good. For Japan wrestling, I guess. And I think he's stepping in, and Shoeface is stepping in on short notice. Jordan Johnson was supposed to have this fight. Shoeface usually fought at middleweight, although he won the Ultimate Fighter at heavyweight. Only 31 years old, 6'2", 79-inch reach. Now fighting at 205. Not sure if he's fought at 205 before or not. But he's on a 3-fight losing streak to Ian Heinisch, Uriah Hall, which was a split decision, and then lost to Brad Tavares in his last fight. I rate all of those guys so much higher than Tom Lawler. I think that, for a lack of a better term, this is a giant step down in competition for Shoeface here. He has to avoid wrestling for, I think, the first 3 to 5 minutes with Tom Lawler. After that, I think that Shoeface will have the better both the stand-up and grappling range. And, I just think Shoeface ends up finally getting to use his stand-up that he believes he has in all of these fights he's lost lately. I think he has a better stand-up than Tom Lawler. He should be able to get this done and get it down to the ground eventually and submit him.
Yeah, if Uriah Hall couldn't knock out Antonio Carlos Jr., I don't expect Tom Lawler to. Tom Lawler does have some unexpected knockouts, but there were two washed-up John Vellante, and there was another one. Interesting enough, there's two competitors from the 2008 Ultimate Fighter season, Vinny Magalhaes and Tom Lawler, both competed on that 2008 Ultimate Fighter, so it's kind of nostalgic.
I mean, that's part of the mixed bag with this 205 division I was talking about.
Yeah, the polite way of saying it.
Yep.
But so Tom Lawler went 1-1 in the Ultimate Fighter. He lost by knockout to Ryan Bader.
That was 700 years ago. We don't even need to speak about that. That was
if you lose by knockout to Ryan Bader, though, that just shows you your level your level in this game. He got choked out by Chris Weidman, split decision to Francis Carmont. Jason Mcdonald, he knocked out 50 seconds in. I think that John Vellante knockout was the most surprising I've seen because he was getting pieced up in the first round. I'm pretty sure he lost that first round, and he came back 27 seconds in. And he just landed the perfect right hook or whatever it was and put John out. John Vellante is a hard guy to put out too, so Tom Lawler packs a punch. But at the same time, Antonio Carlos Jr. has never been knocked out. Uriah Hall didn't knock him out. Like I said, if he's not getting knocked out by Uriah Hall, I guarantee you Tom Lawler's not going to knock him out, who's turning 38 next month. Correct. So Brad Tavares actually showed a good account of himself against Antonio Carlos Jr. showed a good account of himself against Brad Tavares. Brad just had superior takedown defense. You haven't seen takedown defense like that in a long time. Go back to that fight, and if you want to teach somebody takedown defense, then that's the perfect fight to go to and just piece apart. I don't think Brad has that same. I don't think Tom has that same takedown defense as Brad did. Antonio can take this down if he wants. If he wants to test his striking, that might be a bad idea because Tom packs a punch at light heavyweight. I know he's 37 turning 38, but he still has that knockout power. So Antonio, coming in short notice, his smartest avenue to victory here is just grinding Tom out. And Tom has been submitted, I believe. Yeah, he's been submitted by a rear naked choke and a Darce.
And a guillotine, right? Or no?
It says I got rear naked choke and a Darce. Maybe a guillotine. He also lost by a DQ. He illegally needs somebody, so he also can lose by a DQ. So I'm not putting any money on Tom Lawler. Hopefully Antonio Carlos Jr. is parlayable.
Yeah, I wouldn't say completely minus 365 on short notice in a new division, but still facing Tom Lawler. It's workable. It's just you don't want. I mean, again, PFL cards.
And Tom Lawler hasn't fought since September 6, 2019, beating fucking 45-year-old Tony Lopez, who's 50-50 in MMA or something. I don't know. It's just ridiculous.
275 on Lawler. I'll put him in a couple.
Nikolai and Antonio. So there's your perfect parlay.
Yeah, I'll put him in a couple parlays. It's a bit of a steep price on short notice, but still, I'm not sure Tom Lawler is a legit 205er either. So,
no, I think Antonio is part of the tournament anyways. He just got a more recent fight, like a sooner fight instead of fighting in like 6 weeks or something.
Yeah. So the next fight, it is actually So this is Emmanuel Sorti versus Chris Camozzi. It's listed on the card. I'm wondering if it's the actual co-main event, but on Tapology, it's listed as the first fight on the main card. So
that's what I got.
We're gonna break down Emmanuel Sorti versus Chris Camozzi at 205. I loved Camozzi back in the day. I saw him get a 10-finger guillotine live at UFC on Fox in Chicago back in like 2012. It was the first time I'd ever heard of a 10-finger guillotine.
Who was that against?
It was against Dustin Jacoby.
Oh, there you go. Wow. Yeah, Dustin fighting this Saturday too.
Right. So yeah, kind of a tale of two tapes after that fight.
Yeah, two completely different journeys in their careers.
Yeah, Chris Camozzi, 34 years old now, 6'2", 76.5-inch reach, fighting on Genesis Training Academy. Has a win over Tony Lopez as his last win. I think that may have been who you're thinking of, who had the Tony Lopez win recently.
Oh, okay. Sorry, did I? Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good.
Okay.
And besides that, he has been fighting in kickboxing, losing a few fights, drawing with John Vellante and grappling. You don't like to see that. Has a loss.
And I can just guarantee you right now, John Vellante looked like Ben Askren did versus Jake Paul.
Yeah, and has a loss to Muslim Magomedov. Before that, in round 3, Muslim is 4-0. Was 4-0 at the time. Looking at him now, he's 9-0. So Muslim might be the real deal. Just beat Leandro Silva earlier this year, so definitely keep an eye on. Another Magomedov, believe it or not. Before that, Camozzi lost 3 straight in the UFC to get his walking papers. Trevor Smith, Daniel Kelly, both decisions. Talis Latis ended up getting a submission in round 3. He does have a win over Tom Watson, and has a, like I said, has a win over, has kind of been all over the place. We have to really go back, but again, here's the Dustin Jacoby round 3 guillotine win in 2012. That was when he was probably at his best. He had 4 straight wins at that point. Then took the step up to Jacare Silva. Jacare Souza's beaten him twice, unfortunately, and 1 submission, 1 KO. Camozzi has just been through a lot of wars at this point in his career. Emmanuel Sorti, 30 years old, fighting out of Alliance MMA. Very good gym, 22-8, 6'2", 76 and 78.5-inch reach. He's had finishes in all of his PFL fights or been finished. So he is 6-1. Finished Jason Butcher quickly, finished Vinny Magales, finished Bozat Agiev twice, once by ground and pound, once by submission. Beat Sigi Pesali and beat Jordan Johnson to give Jordan Johnson his 2nd loss by TKO last year. I just think that this is kind of simple and easy. Emmanuel Sorti, I just think, is going to be able to kind of lay it on Camozzi. Camozzi likes the war. He won't be able to deny it. I think he won't be able to withstand the finish. I think 2nd round TKO for Emmanuel Sorti is my pick. What's your thoughts?
You're going with the Argentinian. I think this is a great promotion for Sorti because he's a finisher by heart, and the whole point of PFL is accumulating points to get a better spot in the playoff bracket, and that's just what he does. As soon as he got into the PFL, he has not went to the distance once. He has a knockout in 16 seconds. He's got a ground and pound win in round 1, a rear naked choke in round 1, punches in round 1, ground and pound round 1. It's just, this guy knows what's at stake. I think he's got a family, and he is a former PFL winner as well, beating Jordan Johnson. I'm pretty sure that was for the championship. Exactly. He was a plus 100 underdog. And Chris Camozzi making his PFL debut. UFC staple. He's made 3 stints in the UFC. The UFC cut him. He won a couple fights, came back. UFC cut him, won a couple fights, came back. There's not a lot of athletes that you can say that have had 3 UFC stints. But Chris Camozzi just keeps grinding. He just keeps getting W's. He's been on the wrong end of a couple splits, but he's also won a couple splits. So it kind of evens out. He's also signed with Glory Kickboxing still, so I think he's just doing this to get a paycheck. He's trying to get like a
assume that after Clay Collard last week.
Yeah, because Clay was with top ranked boxing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think Clay's signed with top ranked boxing anymore, though.
Yeah, no, I'm not sure. But either way, like, we kind of assumed Clay hadn't been preparing with MMA for a while.
Yeah.
It bit us.
And but at the same time, Chris Camozzi hasn't had the decorated boxing record Clay Collard had. He does have like a knockout over John King. I've never heard of these guys. Kyle Whitecart. It's just not the same level of competition, in my opinion. Sorti is he's just a true finisher, man. I thought Chris Camozzi's been knocked out multiple times, but he's only been knocked out 1 time, and it was against aforementioned Muslim Magomedov, who you mentioned.
Yep.
And it was actually a doctor stoppage or a referee stoppage. I know it wasn't he didn't go unconscious or anything, but I think Sorti has the submission skills to just dictate where the fight is going to go, and if it's not a TKO ground and pound, it's going to be a submission loss because Chris Camozzi has lost by submission. I don't know if I can even count on my fingers as many times because I don't have that many fingers left. Let's see. Is it eight times?
Yep.
I know he's lost by submission like a lot of times.
He also got knocked out by Jacare.
No, it was 2 submission losses by Jacare.
Oh,
arm
was
bar
it?
and an arm triangle.
I thought it was a knockout and an arm triangle for some reason.
He's lost by 6 submissions, sorry. 2 rear naked chokes, 2 arm bars, 1 arm triangle, and 1 triangle. Emmanuel Sorti has 6 submission wins, 3 guillotines, 2 rear naked chokes, and 1 arm bar. 16 knockouts. That's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Like, I got Sorti all day. He's the former PFL champ. Chris Camozzi's a shell of himself at this point. Moving up to 205 is not going to benefit him in any way. I see another Dominic Reyes, Chris Weidman situation here, and he might get sparked round 1.
Yep, minus 365.
I don't want to be a dick to Chris Camozzi because he's a good dude, but it's just
you call it like you see it. Minus 365, minus 365 for Sorti, a plus 275 on Camozzi.
He's gonna watch this. He's gonna watch this and be like, "What the hell?"
Yeah,
You're not giving me a chance at all.
You know, I mean, well, maybe he can comment on it after if we're wrong. We are always okay with being wrong, and
shut us out. Any publicity is good publicity.
We respect all fighters here, even if sometimes we get a little emotional with our.
Brendan Loughnane listen, and what about if he lost? Or well, we are really high on him, so that's a different situation.
That's a different story. Moving on to the 170 division, we've got the return of Gleison Tebow finally fighting closer to the weight he should be, I guess, at 170, taking on João Zeferino. Zeferino has been around the PFL forever, man. And he's 35 years old, taking on the 37-year-old, almost 38-year-old in Gleison Tebow. Break down the newcomer, Tebow, now newcomer to the weight division of 170. I don't know if he's ever fought at 170. 5'10", 71-inch reach. Says he's still fighting off American Top Team. He had 3 fights canceled prior to this. 2 with Chris Cisneros. I don't know who that is. The event got postponed, and then he was supposed to fight Alexei Kunchenko. Kunchenko had to withdraw, and now João Zeferino steps in on short.
But Zeferino's opponent also stepped out, so that's why they made this fight.
Yeah, so it's short notice for both guys. I think both guys were preparing. Prior to this fight, Gleison Tebow defeated Will Brooks by guillotine choke in round 1 in July of 2019. Took a few grappling bouts, and then he had a fight on the Liddell Ortiz card where he took on Efrain Escudero and got a decision win. Before that, 4 straight losses in the UFC, and it is UFC
this is it. This is the Golden Boy Promotions guy. Sorry.
Yeah, and 4 straight losses to Makhachev, Des Green, Abel Trujillo, where he failed a drug test.
He did win.
Yeah, he won, but then failed the drug test, and then Tony Ferguson.
Which is weird. It's usually a no contest, but they're like, no, Gleison, you're getting a loss here.
Yeah, and then lost.
I don't know what the difference is between this and any other drug test.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And then lost to Tony Ferguson by rear naked choke. Yeah, I don't think he's fought at 170 before.
No.
So we're not going to really know.
But he's missed weight a bunch of times at 155.
Yeah, so and he's probably still cutting weight. Taking on João Zeferino, 35 years old, 175, 11, fighting out of Renzo Gracie Academy. He's on a 3-fight winning streak against Paul Bradley, Yuri Villafort, and Bohan Vekchilevic. 3 former UFC fighters, and he finished 2 of them. One by punches, one by rear naked choke. This is just 3. Yeah, in round 3. So he definitely has, I think, a potential gas advantage against Gleison Tebow. Even though he's not cutting, I don't think he's going to become a cardio king all of a sudden. He's also faced some pretty heavily muscled guys like Jason High and been able to handle them as well and finish them late in the third round. Yuri Villafort's a strong guy. Bohan's a strong guy. I think this is going to be an interesting fight, and this could be potentially the big dog to break through in Zhao. I do think that he could surprise Gleason. And it's just one that when I look at the odds, there's only one choice here. It's dog or pass, or two choices, I should say, dog or pass. And I'm going to just, take a flyer and say Zhao ends up being able to kind of start working to stand up in the cardio a little bit and sneaks in a rear naked choke in round 3 to get the win in the extra point. So I'm going to take Zeferino by finish. He's had a lot of finishes in the PFL, and I think he adds another one here to the newcomer, 37, almost 38-year-old Gleison Tibau fighting at 170. I think maybe we see not much of an improvement for Gleason, and maybe we see why he didn't make this move sooner to 170.
Yeah, Gleison Tibau is making his PFL debut here. It's going to be his 50th professional fight. So we have another Anthony Smith on our hands. Zhao Zeferino is no stranger to the MMA game. It's going to be his 34th professional fight, 3-1 in PFL. He's no stranger to the PFL organization and WSOF organization. He also went 3-2.
True. I'm counting those as PFLs, but yeah.
Oh, you are?
Just because it's the same organization, they just changed the name.
Yeah, Ray Sefo has been the promoter since day one with WSOF, and now it's PFL. Yep. So it's 6-3 overall.
Yeah.
Is this Zhao Zeferino's never fought in the UFC.
He fought twice in the UFC.
Oh, sorry, he went 0-2.
Yeah.
0-2, 0-2.
I believe the first fight was at 185.
Yeah, he had a rough outing, eh?
His first fight was at 185 within the UFC.
Yeah, so out of his natural weight class, and that was versus Rafael Natal, who's going to grind anybody who's shorter in size or smaller in size than him, and Elias Silverio, who was undefeated at the time.
But what it also tells me is he's comfortable facing bigger, more muscular, strong guys.
Exactly. Yep. His past 3 fights have all been at welterweight. Gleason, first time fighting at welterweight. He's not going to have that size advantage like he usually does.
Yep.
I didn't even know Gleison Tibau was still fighting. He's the big argument on Habib's record, saying Gleason may have got robbed in that fight. I think if you look at the stats, it's very, very close.
Yeah,
but that was also 15 years ago or something like that. It was a long time ago. Let's see. Khabib. It's crazy. Tibau's let's see his UFC records. Most decision wins in UFC lightweight history, 11. Third most wins in UFC lightweight history, 16. Second most fights in UFC lightweight history, trailing behind Jim Miller at 27. Second most top position time, most takedowns. Nobody has landed more takedowns than Gleison Tibau in the lightweight division. So that's something to fucking brag about. If I was at the bar and I had that stat,
I have more takedowns than Khabib.
I have more takedowns than Habib, and I arguably beat Habib. So I can understand why the odds were so inflated, but you got to look at the weight difference here. You have to look at the age. You have to look at the wear and tear on Gleason compared to Jai Zeferino. Jai Zeferino, he has lost by 4 knockouts, but I don't think he's lost by knockout in a while. Didn't he get that one highlight reel knockout? The guy was just unconscious on the fence.
Yep.
Wasn't that Zeferino?
That was Paul Bradley.
Against Paul Bradley?
Yep.
That highlight was insane. That was like Vanderlei versus Vitor Belfort-esque.
Paul Bradley, another former UFC lightweight going up to welterweight.
Yeah. It's a different game facing these guys 15 pounds heavier. 14 submissions Gleason has. but João Zeferino's never been submitted. Gleison Tibau isn't a knockout artist by any means. He's lost by 7 decisions.
Yeah, Sean.
Six split. He's got 6 split decision wins. So say those 6 went the other way. Like he might not even be in the he shouldn't have even been in the UFC for as long as he was, in my opinion.
Yeah,
But
and just to answer Sean's question or comment here real quick, this fight was put together short notice because both their opponents pulled out.
Yeah, that's my boy Sean, good dude from Australia. Yeah, both these guys had their opponents pull out, and they just put this together because it made sense. Same weight class.
So your pick.
I think the weight advantage is going to play a big factor here. João Zeferino is also younger. He has less wear and tear. Gleason's been knocked out 4 times as well. They both have been knocked out the same amount of times. I just think the PFL fighter, he also lost a split to Herman. Say that went the other way. He lost to John Fitch. John Fitch went to a draw to Rory MacDonald, who we'll be talking about earlier. Like, if other than those, he'd be on like a 10-fight winning streak. And Gleison, he's been on the juice. Maybe he can get away with it in PFL, but he has been accused of PEDs. And at this weight and at this age, you can't trust him. How is he -4? What are the odds? Sorry.
No, he's not. I don't know where you got the -4 from.
I swear I saw -400.
Currently, Gleison Tibau is -160, +130 on João Zeferino. He will be, I believe, my second or third dog of the night in Zeferino. I'm going to take him. I think he gets a potential finish.
Yeah, the other day, Gleison was -400, so shout out to anybody who made the line a lot closer, because apparently big bets came in on João Zeferino, and I don't blame you. João's like -115 now.
One second.
So yeah, I don't know. It's close. It's a close fight. There's no way I'm picking Gleison Tibau in 2021 to win a fight. I'm sorry. PEDs, he's been accused of. João Zeferino had that highlight reel knockout in PFL. We're in a 3-fight win streak, only losing to Herman Torrado by split. That could have easily went his way.
All right, yeah. You don't have to kill any more time. All right.
Okay, good.
So we're both on Zeferino here.
And we got 2 fights left.
Yeah, we got
my dog's freaking out. 1 sec.
Yeah, well, that's just the theme right now. Yeah. Everybody's going, Murphy, how about we stop?
Come here.
Wow. Anyways, back to the fight card here. The dog price of running a dog business here. We move on to back down to the 170 division. We have Ray Cooper facing off against Justin. I believe it's Panneau. That's what I'm going to go with. He's a French fighter, I believe. And welcome back, Fireblade, from the gas station. We got 2 more fights left here. Breaking down the 32-year-old Frenchman and Justin Panneau, the Amazonian Samurai. Cool nickname. Been able to watch a few of his fights. He's a very exciting guy. He's fought at lightweight in his last fight here, so he's stepping up in weight, fighting out of AKA Thailand, which I didn't know. I don't know if that's still in or not, since AKA is kind of out of it. But he's on a 3-fight win streak. Don't know the guys he's beat. BJ Bland, he beat by KO. I got to watch that fight. It was a very impressive KO, and he really went in there, blitzed him, and after he blitzed him, he put him away. He fights hard. He's lost to good guys in Jolton Lederbach, who we just saw last week. He did come up short, but we saw last week. And then also a loss to Chris Fishgold by guillotine. Really quick, we know that's Chris Fishgold's move. Peter Hallman, also not a bad loss. Beat a 8-0 guy in Lewis Monarch. Besides that, haven't heard of too many of the guys Jason has faced here. Ray Cooper, we know the Hawaiian-born fighter, 28 years old, 5'7". He's a tank of a guy. Knocked out David Michaud to win the PFL welterweight tournament last year. Knocked out Chris Curtis with a vicious hook. Had a draw against Sabu Sai where he tried to bully him, and Sabu was able to be on his back and use his volume, use his jab, and ended up being just a close fight. Lost to John Howard by a vicious KO. Got guillotine choked by Magomed Kiramov. Another good guy. Beat Zane Kamaka, who he's supposed to, but beat Zane Kamaka with a rear naked choke. Has a win over Jake Shields by knockout twice. Cooper's been all over the place, man. He's a PFL OG, hard hitter. I think that with Jason Poney, could be a potential, kind of brawl for what lasts. But I just think the lightweight moving up to welterweight against a hard hitter in Ray Cooper. I just think this is Ray Cooper all day and probably inside of 2 rounds.
Yeah, I wanted to make an argument. Before we continue, do you want to answer this guy's question?
I mean, we'll talk about this is a PFL show, so we're going to talk about the PFL.
Okay, quick answer.
What I will say is that tune in on Thursday at 8 p.m. when we're breaking down the UFC Fireblade, and we'll answer all of your UFC questions, including bets. But
we're going to talk to Dominic Reyes.
We're going to talk to PFL here because people who are tuning into this are tuning into the PFL, and we're talking PFL. But talk to us on Thursday at 8 p.m. Every Thursday at 8 p.m. We break down the UFC fights. We'll answer all your UFC questions there, Fireblade.
Absolutely. But Ray Cooper, isn't he two-time? He's the two-time PFL champ or one-time?
Two-time.
Two-time. So, yeah. We have another Natan Schultz.
Or Lance Palmer.
Or Lance Palmer situation going on. I only see one time, but let me double-check.
Did he lose to Magomed Monkey?
Oh, he did lose to Magomed. He's made the finals twice.
Right, he's two-time finalist.
Two-time finalist, lost to Magomedov or Magomed Kiramov.
Yep.
Who I do not discredit at all. That guy's a fucking beast.
He's good.
Jason Panneau making his PFL debut. I'm pretty sure he was a former kickboxer. Yep. Another French fighter. You could arguably say a French fighter got robbed last week against Chris Wade. I'm so fortunate Chris Wade pulled that off. But these French fighters are really good. Chris Fishgold, UFC vet. We just saw Joleton Ludabach fight last week. He lost a majority decision to him. That was 3 rounds. This is a big step up in competition for Jason Panneau. Ray Cooper's a 7-2 PFL vet at this point. He has lost by a big underdog odds once, -600 loss. That was to, was it Henderson Ferreira? Let me double check. He lost John Howard. Sorry. John Doomsday Howard.
Crazy round too.
Yeah, that was, I remember listening to a Joe Rogan podcast and they were watching that live and how excited Joe got. Just that made the podcast because they were watching live, and John Doomsday, because he used to be in the UFC, so Joe's familiar with him, and he just starched Ray Cooper. Like, they just went at it. Ray's gonna either win on his shield or die on his shield. He's not somebody who's gonna go to a decision. He's got 100% finishing rate. 20 out of 20 of his wins are by finish. 14 out of 20 round 1. 70% of his wins are in round 1. And that's crazy because he's got 20 wins. So 70%. That's a huge fucking stat right there. 6 out of 20 are in round 2. He's never won by a round 3 finish or a decision. So that's one thing that worries me because Jason has he's got 9 decision wins. So if this goes past round 1, it might be a little sketchy. I'm trying to make an argument for Jason because he's such a big underdog. I think he's the biggest underdog on this PFL card. don't know. I like French fighters. They're good strikers. Ray Cooper is obviously a beast, a Hawaiian. He's not gonna back down from any challenge. But Jason's never been knocked out. He's lost by submissions. 10 submissions. So that's really bad on his part. But it's not like Ray Cooper's a big submission artist. He does have 4 rear naked chokes, 1 guillotine, and 1 front choke. So I guess he could pull off a submission. Ray Cooper's still in his prime, only 28. Jason's 32, making his PFL debut. I don't think I'm going to bet this fight. I don't like the odds on Ray. He's lost at big favorite odds before. He's won the PFL championship already. Jason might be able to come in here and spoil the party.
Yeah, I don't mind fading it. And Fireblade, you're fine, man. It's just like we're already an hour 20 into a PFL breakdown of a 9-fight card, and we still got.
We jabber. We are fucking jabber heads.
Yeah, absolutely. But we're both on Ray Cooper, and we both honestly like round 1. After round 1, we're nervous, but neither one of us is going to be betting it too heavy at -6.
I might not even predict this fight. Like
at
I want
-6.
to see what Jason has to bring to offer first before.
Well, you have to pick every fight because you're on here. -6.
Yeah. This fight, I will pick Ray Cooper round 1 knockout because that's what he does.
-650 for Ray Cooper, plus 425 on the newcomer. Good luck if you're going with the newcomer, because I'm on Ray Cooper, but when it goes bad for Ray Cooper, it goes bad really, really quickly. I will say that.
And Ray Cooper has been knocked out twice, I believe. Yeah, 2 knockouts, and he's lost by 4 submissions.
Yep. And so we're going to move on now to the main event of the evening. It's Rory MacDonald versus Curtis Millender. It's at
We should tell Sam to save that question for UFC.
Yeah, and Sam, we break down all I think he might have left, but we break down all of the UFC fights on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern time. All of your UFC questions can be answered there. I'm leaning Sandhagen, but I haven't broken down that card enough to give you a full pick. This is Curtis Millender taking on Rory Red King MacDonald. Curtis Millender, 33 years old, 6'2", 78-inch reach. Fighting for the first time since his Bellator decision loss to Sabah Hamasi. No shame in that. We saw how Sabah Hamasi looked in his last round. He looked really good before getting knocked out by Paul Daly in round 2. Before that, had a win over Moises Miredha, 8-3 guy, decent guy, but he did look pretty good in that fight. Before that, had a loss to Eliza Dos Santos Gillespie and Bilal Muhammad, but has wins over Thiago Alves, Max Griffin, and Sayar Baharadurza in the UFC. Those are all impressive wins to me. Has a win over Kevin Holland in LFA. He faced a Matthew Frinchu, 11-2 guy, put him away in the first round. I think Curtis Millender has some good skill, but definitely started to lose a little bit of momentum when he kind of got dominated in the grappling so quickly against Eliza Zaleski Dos Santos and then submitted. And it's been a little gun shy since then. Sam, that's Gregor's. Okay. Oh, for Fireblade is a Gregor guy. So
it's going to be a leg card.
Yeah, that's a great card. But yeah, Curtis Millender. I like his how he looks, particularly
his striking's really
particularly good. Striking, and I think that Rory MacDonald has looked a little bit up and down so far in his looked a little bit up and down in his Bellator career.
His post-UFC career. Yeah,
post-UFC career. And now makes his PFL debut here against Melender. So we haven't seen him in the PFL yet, but in Bellator, after losing to Stephen Thompson, Rory MacDonald or Robbie Lawler to get axed, got a rear naked choke of Paul Daly, which in the second round, I think that's a lot of how this fight looks. Beat Douglas Lima, which is a super impressive win. Mm-hmm. And then lost to Gregor Gegard Mousasi, and then got a draw against Fitch. That's not so great. Beat Neiman Gracie, very good. and then lost to Douglas Lima. I think that Rory, he's still got some left in the tank and is still able to fight a really intelligent fight against a one-dimensional striker, which I believe Melender is. Rory's only 31 years old. I think you look back to the Paul Daly fight, I think it looks a lot like that, where he just uses the wrestling, uses the grappling, gasses him out, and then submits him in round 1 or round 2, I think. I do like Curtis Millender if this stays on the feet, however. I think Millender can really compete with Rory on the feet and possibly get the finish, but I don't think Rory keeps it there long.
Yeah, if you're getting out-grappled by Sabah Hamasi, then you're getting out-grappled by Rory MacDonald. It's a pretty easy
It's one of our easiest breakdowns of the night.
One of the easiest I could think of. Curtis Millender is also coming in short notice. Rory was supposed to fight David Mashad, but he had like a heart issue. I don't know if it was a heart issue, but
yeah, something that issue.
Yeah, it was something that didn't let him fight for the rest of his career. I'm pretty sure he's at a competition for the rest of his life, which is very unfortunate.
The other thing with Millender is I listened to some interviews this week, and in each interview he's talked about how he's said, "I hope we get the Rory MacDonald from the Robbie Lawler fight."
You're not going to see it, buddy, because he's got Firas Zahabi in his corner, and Firas Zahabi is so smart, so analytical. He's going to tell him the exact information that Rory needs, and Rory's going to stick to the game plan. Back in the day, we referred Rory MacDonald to the next George St. Pierre, and
he's only 31.
He easily could have been, but
he's only 31.
I think he gets. Pardon?
He's only 31 too.
He's only 31. Yeah, he's still so young, but it's just he broke his nose so many times. That Robbie Lawler fight, I think he just got too involved in putting a fight on for the fans instead of sticking to his bread and butter, and that's what really faltered his fight in that occasion, because he ended up losing by round 5 knockout. But that's still arguably top 3 best fights of UFC history. That moment when Rory MacDonald and Robbie Lawler just stood face to face at the end of round 4, they knew the buzzer went, but they're still just pacing back and forth and looking at each other, both bleeding. It was one of the best moments in UFC history. And Rory MacDonald, I'm a big fan. My girlfriend's a big fan. She fucking loves Rory MacDonald. I'm not trying to be biased, but he's had a long time off. I hope he's recovered from that Douglas Lima loss, because he took a lot of punishment. He usually does take a lot of punishment, but if he fights to his bread and butter, he can beat anybody in the division. But he gets a little too caught up in the hype and the pleasing of the fans, and he starts to fight to his opponent's abilities, and that's what I'm worried about. But he knows he's got kids. Now he's more mature. He's 31. He should know that he has to take Curtis down, who obviously has a bad grappling game, because Sabah Hamasi really executed a good game plan there and showed a lot of holes in Curtis Millender's game. Bilal Muhammad did the same thing. Elias Zaleski dos Santos did the same thing, got the rear naked choke in round 1. So yeah, like you said, I like Rory here. He's so well-rounded. He's got 7 knockouts, 7 submissions, 7 decisions. So it's really hard to get a good read on what he's going to win by. But if he's coming in there with the same mindset that I would go in there with the tools he has, I would just take him down, grind it out, and try to escape with a victory with the least damage possible going into the next round of fights.
Zaleski dos Santos can get the submission that quickly, I do think Rory can get a submission. So,
yeah,
and points do matter. The finish matters. I do think he'll look to finish. He is a capable finisher.
Rory's got 4 rear naked chokes, so that's his go-to.
And Millender's been finished by rear naked choke. -5 100 on Rory MacDonald. I think inside the distance, I would put in a parlay though.
Yeah.
Honestly. So
well, even money line can go Ahmed and Rory.
Yeah,
and I
exactly.
think that'll be like minus 190.
Yeah, I'd still feel, it's less than Clay Collard versus Anthony Pettis last week and an easier route to victory.
Yeah, I don't see as many underdogs winning this card like we said before.
Yeah, and we're
just going to give us your best pick and your best underdog?
Yeah, we'll give our best pick and best underdog. My best underdog, if if I'm going through, if it's gonna count, because I believe that Jordan Young is a plus 100, I will say Jordan Young would be my best underdog. If that doesn't count, I don't mind Zeffirino, but Young is my favorite underdog on the card.
Yeah, I see João Zeffirino is actually a favorite now at this point, so it's hard to get you can shop around. You might be able to find him at underdog odds, but I agree with Jordan Young best. And what was your most confident pick?
In my most confident pick is probably the main event or Shoeface. I think both are just are just miles above their competition. Sorti,
in that one aspect.
Yeah. And Sorti, I'm also confident in. It's just that Chris Camozzi's tough as shit. So, I really, would hate to see Sorti hit him with what should have finished everybody else.
I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. So, I think it's a split. What about you for your best bet and underdog?
This Rory and Curtis fight reminds me a lot of Carl Roberson and Brendan Allen. I think it's going to play out a lot like that. Maybe not a heel hook with 3 seconds left. That UFC was just bonkers, man. I'm so jealous you got to see that live.
Yeah, that's why my
even sitting here, I was fanboying out hard.
Right.
So yeah, most confident underdog. I would agree with you, Jordan Young. But if you want to get a little crazy, Jason Panneau really isn't a bad underdog. We don't know what to expect. Ray Cooper doesn't know what to expect, and if Ray Cooper blows his gas casket in round 1. Jason Panneau could easily put on a striking clinic in round 2 and 3 and pull off a decision. So Jason Panneau at plus 475 is really not the worst underdog bet. And my most confident is probably what's his name? Nikolai. I really like Nikolai over Sabado Sai. Sabado Sai has an avenue of victory in the first 2.5 minutes, but after that, I think it's going to be Nikolai just sticking to his bread and butter. He's not a fighter to go out there and be flashy. He's gonna go in there and do what he does best, stick to his tools that he knows, and just outskill Sabado in the grappling department, in my opinion.
Yep, I think those are all fair. We are at over the 90-minute mark for a 9-fight card. So
a lot of information, guys.
Yeah, a lot of information. Watch at 1.5 times speed if you're not watching live. But
1.75 even.
Yeah, but there's no odds available on the ONE FC card, so we aren't going to get a little bonus
tomorrow.
Pick,
we could give them tomorrow, maybe.
Possibly, but
if we do the LFA tomorrow,
I'm not. Yeah, maybe. We're not going to though.
Okay.
So for Aaron, the dog of MMA Stooges, and Brandon of MMA Wagers, we are out for tonight, but we will be back on Thursday with a double breakdown. We have the LFA early on, and then we will have the UFC later on and then Fireblade. Join us Thursday at 8 p.m. We'll help you figure out how to use that cash to make more cash on UFC bets.
Yeah. And make sure to use a unit betting system, Fireblade. I know a lot of newbies don't know units, but figure out what your unit size is and bet accordingly.
Yep, stick to it. Glad to have you with us. Looking forward to seeing you on Thursday for the LFA and UFC. But for Aaron, for Brandon, we are out until Thursday at 5 or at 3:30 p.m. or 5 p.m. We'll figure it out. We'll be advertising it though. Take care, everybody. Peace out.